Hello, I struggle to talk about my PhD for 5 to 10 minutes as I find the time segments a little bit too tight to explain what I want to. So instead, I want to tell the story I always tell in pubs when I want people to understand the value of my work. So I hope you're all tucked in and have your hot chocolate ready, as it's time for a PhD related bedtime story. A long time ago, during my MSc in Ergonomics and Inclusive Design, there was a tool called the running line. The running line was a new tool that was very basic, allowing blind children to run in a straight line independently. It consisted of a pair of plastic fence posts jabbed into the ground with a long rope spanning from one side to the other. Threaded through the rope was a sliding handle, and with it, a blind child could hold onto it and run from one fence post to the other safely. To tell the runner when they were reaching the end, we threaded a tambourine into the line, which would jingle when you hit it, telling the runner that they were close to the end of the rope and it was time to slow down. My project back then was to ask the relatively simple question if kids would enjoy the running line, or would they find it too scary? Because if a kid hates it, there was no point developing it any further. So we went to a specialist school to test it out. The experiment was as follows. We introduced the running line by asking the child to walk up and down the line while holding the handle. Then we let them run up and down, and finally we asked them if they wanted to race the experimenter. If they said yes, we counted it as a win, as the kid clearly wanted to run more. Also, because it was a scientific experiment, we had to be consistent, which meant no matter how slow the kid was, I always had to lose the race. It was a lovely sunny day when we set up in the school. 2 running lines were set up, so we could not only run more trials, but also it meant that the children weren't just sitting around all day waiting for their turn. The first child came forward. In her right hand was her cane, and in her left hand she was holding onto her carer. She was tiny, with red bushy hair, wearing her summer school uniform. We introduced her to the running line, but she refused to walk. She was too scared. Eventually we convinced her to walk down the running line, with one hand holding the line and the other hand holding onto our sports coach. On her second attempt, she still didn't feel safe, but she walked with one hand holding the line while our sports coach rested his hand on her shoulder as reassurance. Her third and final walk, she finally walked solo. We then let her sit down without her racing me, as it was clear she was uncomfortable about the whole thing. This was a gut-wrenching experience for our team, because we thought that if all the kids were like this would be the end of the running line. Fortunately, the other kids really enjoyed it. The ones waiting were cheering from the sidelines, and they all wanted an extra go racing the experimenter. And as planned, I lost every race. Afterwards, the PE teacher came to thank us. He was impressed by the tool, as we managed to get the kids run much further than they normally would on an average PE session. In fact, when looking at the kids, they were exhausted on the floor on the grass, but happy, with carers rushing around looking for glasses of water just for them. Then the PE teacher made a special point to thank us for the first child, the child we thought we failed. He explained the reason why she was so reserved was because she had a slightly interesting childhood and was always afraid, which is why she always walked with a carer and a cane and never walked alone. The short walk that she did with the running line was actually the furthest she's ever walked alone, and this was a major achievement for her. It was an important lesson for us all that day. Our methods technically would have classified her as a loss, but in reality it was perhaps one of the biggest wins of the day and showed the importance of our research and the value of not making these presumptions and the complexity of the subject. Now the running line has received a bit more polish and travelled around the country helping blind and partially sighted children across the UK to access sport. It is now donated to 2 different specialist schools as well, which will hopefully help children for years to come. The research also acted as the catalyst of starting my PhD working on how do people guide run in the first place, and if it can be done independently around a 400-meter running track. By the way, the answer is yes. You can guide people independently around a running track. And much like this story, what I expected to happen didn't happen, and I was proven wrong in the best way possible. But that's a story for another time, when I have more time to talk. The end.